During my early days in Valorant, I always dreaded agents like Astra. You know, back then it just seemed like everything about her was so dang complex, and using her kit, well, it honestly felt like playing a MOBA game. Now, lo and behold, she stands on a pedestal, deservingly as such, as one of the best controllers in Valorant to date. And that's in both ranked and the pro scene, mind you. So if you are an Astra main or you're an aspiring one, this is going to be the only Astra guide that you're ever going to need to dominate your games and the cosmic worlds. If you're brand new to the game, this is something that could really skyrocket your progress. But if you really want to jumpstart your success, I want to introduce you to the two brand new courses we just published over on the SkillCapped site. These courses are designed to walk you through everything you need to know about climbing stupidly fast in Valorant. First, we have our Jumpstart course that we made to teach you the basics and expertly fast-track you through the beginner process. But once you're more experienced, we even went the extra mile and created this Level Up course to teach you the advanced tactics that players use to climb up into the higher ranks of Ascendant and beyond. Whether you're a brand new player or you're still trying to hit those peak ranks, these two courses will have everything you need to break past those plateaus and start climbing. There's a reason SkillCapped has become the only premium instructional resource in the scene. We invest and believe in our content, so much so that we even back it up with two guarantees. First, we give you 2 full weeks to explore all the things we offer, and if it's not for you, you get a full refund, no questions asked. Our second guarantee is that you'll climb at least 5 whole divisions, or again, you get every penny back, no questions asked. You've got everything to gain, literally nothing to lose, so get started by using that discount link in the description below. Anyway, back to the video. Nova Pulse is Astra's reliable concuss that stuns enemies in a small radius after a brief windup. Now, similar to how the rest of Astra's kit works, a star must be placed preemptively before you can activate your utility. Now, the great thing about Astra's kit is that she can freely use and access these utilities on a global scale. Now, regardless of her positioning on the map, she can provide assistance for her team through Nova Pulse and the rest of her kit. The use of Nova Pulse is pretty straightforward and can come in handy in various situations. If you're here in a rush toward your site, you can place another star inside your smoke and activate the Nova Pulse as soon as you hear them near or on the choke point. This allows Astra to slow down rush plays and even create openings for spam kills through the smoke. Now, being in constant communication with your team, it's also going to be a great way of utilizing Nova Pulse as with the rest of her kit as well. For instance, you can play off your teammate's contact with a well-placed star and activate Nova Pulse as soon as the enemy appears on your teammate's field of vision on the map. If you want to safely clear corners, you can also use Astra's Concuss to give you an advantage, especially if you feel like an enemy is hiding in a specific spot too often. Oh, and you know Astra's gravity well? If the enemy team isn't too close to the center, they can actually resist the pull by moving in the opposite direction of the star's center. However, if you're able to stun them with the Nova Pulse before pulling them, they're going to be sucked like rag dolls being swallowed by a black hole. Feel free to use this mechanic in post-plant situations to guarantee a successful pull out of the defuse play. Nebula is Astra's bread and butter as a controller. It's a typical bubble-shaped smoke that takes up a star like the rest of her utility. The few unique things about Astra's smoke is that number 1, it's the second shortest duration smoke in the game next to Clove. Number 2, recalling a star by default creates an imitation smoke that lasts for a brief second. This mechanic is what gives Astra an added layer of complexity when it comes to brewing up plays. Now, see, normally, you'd have to use a smoke to get out of cheeky situations if you're stuck in a corner and have to cross a wide open angle. However, with the help of recalling an Astra, you can easily reposition with cover so long as you do it quickly. A commonly used example of this is how teams cross B Club to B Ramp on Pearl. And if you played enough Valorant or watched streamers or pro players, you know exactly what I'm talking about here. Astra puts a star in the gap between B Club and B Ramp. The team then uses this brief cover to safely cross that gap. This is often used to get a good positioning when peeking B Ramp, but it can also serve as a decoy or method of conditioning, confusing enemies into believing someone might have crossed. It's also thanks to this recalling feature that makes Astra arguably the best controller to support fake plays. Since she can practically access the entire map, she can control her utility regardless if her team's there or not. Here's a typical Astra round with Som making efficient use of his Nebula.
Triple stack B.
About there.
Jordan.
Cypher's lurking mid.
Obscuring vision.
Really
Concealment.
the door mid.
That's that guy's in CPO. I'm coming back to it.
I'm gonna stun across side.
Nothing, nothing. You're good.
Got you.
Cypher's not
Three.
working.
I try.
Triple, triple.
Peek, 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 peek. I'm holding right side.
Spike down. B.
It's on the right side.
He's left.
Got it. Pulling them in.
Post rounds with Astra, especially on defense, usually involve a lot of pre-positioned stars, which is clearly shown by some. This also includes thinking ahead and reading into what your enemies could potentially do. As soon as the round starts, we can see how the enemy is attempting a full push on B with the enemy's Cosmic Divide. Some activates an early smoke on the choke point and uses another near default. What this did is it allowed him to isolate angles and play off his teammate Cypher's traps. Now, being on the same page with Cypher allowed them to anchor the site, giving some 2 kills to his name before getting eliminated. Now, while his thought process on using Gravity Well to gain an advantage against the enemy's Astra was good, he was only able to deal 80 damage. Nevertheless, the rest of his team was already nearby for the cleanup. Not only was he able to hold the site with Cypher, but he was able to get 2 and buy enough time for his team to rotate. Astra may seem like a complex agent, but the fundamentals are simple yet effective enough to deny access to site. Gravity Well is a one-of-a-kind utility that sucks people into its core while applying a vulnerable debuff. One of the best ways to use Gravity Well is by combining it with a Molly or damage-dealing utility. Typical combos are going to include Gravity Well and Raise Nade, Orbital Strike, Brim Molly, Guided Salvo, and many more. On post-plant, it's also reliable for denying Spike Diffuse. However, positioning is key in order to make this tactic useful. You have to ensure that the spike is near the edge of the star's radius so that the enemy will get pulled away upon tapping the spike. What you're also going to have to watch out for is if the enemy has 2 or 3 more agents alive for the diffuse, because the pull from Gravity Well can be countered by a well-positioned body block. The body blocking can also be done by a single player as long as he moves in the correct direction of the pull. Case in point, this recent VCT match from DRX against Trace.
Once more, they've got a pull for this one. They're going to be trying to body block this again. Yeah, looks like it. Why not? Second go of things. Mako! No way, man! They just stick it! It's stolen away!
Despite having a weaker buy, DRX was able to outplay Trace due to Mako's quick thinking. Since the smoke was still up on A main, Bane jumped on the defuse as quick as he could. Realizing this and knowing the enemy has a pre-positioned star for the Gravity Well, since the smoke was still up in A main, Cypher jumped on the defuse as quick as he could. Realizing this and knowing the enemy has a pre-positioned star for the Gravity Well, Mako immediately moves closer to Cypher. As soon as Astra activates her Gravity Well, Mako strafes left and right to keep Cypher on the spike. If this were to happen to you, you'd have higher odds of killing the enemies from the defuse if you spam accurately enough during the pull, since they're going to be left vulnerable. Knowing that there's a counter strat like this should always be at the back of your head to avoid being complacent when using Gravity Well for post-plant situations. Okay, so onto the juiciest part of Astra's kit. We have the Astral Form and Cosmic Divide. And yes, we're going to discuss them in a single section because both are accessed by the X key, giving her a full view and access of the map so she can place her stars. Now, while in this state, it's best to seek cover since it'll leave Astra completely defenseless. The more you play Astra, the quicker you're going to be able to hop in and out of Astral Form, placing your stars and activating them instantaneously. Now, as for her ultimate, Cosmic Divide, it's one of the best controller ultimates in Valorant. This allows her to split an area or even the entire map into 2, denying vision and sound cues from the other side. The wall also absorbs bullets, so there's no spamming out of this one either. However, people can still throw utilities and knife through it, so do keep that in mind. Cosmic Divide is often used to deny large areas of space from the enemy team, whether on defense or attacking. And in most cases, the enemy team will be too wary of pushing out of them, giving your team a chance to safely take space. Now, in some instances, Astra mains also use this as a fake tool to lure in defenders onto one site, while the attacking team takes the free site. There's a variety of uses for Cosmic Divide, and it shines best as a tide-turning utility if your team is on the same page with how you're going to use it. Here's a great example of Cosmic Divide being used straightforwardly, yet bearing rewarding results. In this competitive match from Som's stream, he starts the round by placing 1 star on A and 2 on mid. Based on his team's positioning, we can already tell they're planning to do a default mid and B play, potentially leaning towards B in the latter part. Before pushing mid, Som places a star on A and recalls it immediately with the intention of creating a minor distraction. He then pops 2 smokes on mid to allow him and his team to scale up. However, this plan is halted by a Sova drone tagging him. But thanks to his quick reaction and commendable movement, Som gets away with just a few scratches. As soon as he realizes it's getting a bit too crowded on mid, he tells his team he can ult B to give them space for a full send. He also pings the spot his Cosmic Divide will cover, allowing his team to get on the same page with his plan. Now at this point, the round is left in a 4v4 situation, but with a tad bit of an advantage for Som's team, thanks to the space created by Cosmic Divide and info gathered by Neural Theft. Som's team starts to get a little bit more aggressive after FNS gets the drop on Sova. We can also see Som recall a star on Heaven to give himself cover as he repositions to the right. And with a swift and simultaneous kill on the enemy Cypher and Astra, his team claims the round almost flawlessly. Now in hindsight, there's nothing too fancy about what Som did with Astra's kit. However, we can see how effective it was in the bigger picture of the attack. While the mid pinch didn't work out quite that well, Som was able to readjust the strat immediately with the help of Cosmic Divide, and the space it creates is what gave his team easy control of B side, denying the enemy team any hope of retake. Even if Som and his team played passively and held cross angles with the ult, they would have likely won the round all the same. But the aggression that they did while playing around the Cosmic Divide is also an unexpected play that secured the round much faster. This round was a great example of how you can manipulate the process of your team's strategy as well as the outcome of the round as a whole. And we all know when the stars align, fortune favors the bold.
All right, though, guys, before we wrap this up, let's tell you a little bit more about SkillCapped. So we offer a 5-division rank up guarantee, and we think that's a pretty crazy thing to offer. It's kind of like a gym membership guaranteeing you that you're gonna get ripped. Your local gym probably go bust if they offered you that. But not us, because we've offered this for years because our service really does work. It works so well, in fact, that we're able to produce by far the largest catalog of premium Valorant guides on the internet. We add new courses every month with over 1,000 guides curated into over 50 courses. No one can compare. We also have a direct line of communication with subscribers in our Discord so that you can get connected immediately to some of the best players in the game who will respond to every question you ask. Sign up today for as little as $6.99 a month if you're serious about improving your game. So that's going to be all for this one today, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.